my goodness, you are absolutely drenched. Yeah, I thought I heard the rain starting up again outside. It's been such a gloomy week these last few days. Yeah. Well, it's been lovely for business. People always want to read books when it's kind of gross outside. You must be new in town. Yeah. Oh, you just moved here from New York? Wow, that's a long way from home. Yeah. Well, is this your first time in the shop? Absolutely, yeah. Well, I'm so excited you stumbled in here. No, we probably just got lucky stumbling in here out of the rain, but it's always so exciting to see new faces in a town as small as ours. So, welcome in. I'm glad that you're here. You must be freezing. I just made some tea. Would you like some? It might help warm you up a little bit. Okay, perfect. I'll just go grab that for you. This is one of my favorite massive mugs. I'll share it with you though. What do you think? I know it's a little warm. I'm sorry. I'll set it right here for you, okay? Amazing. It's always nice to share tea with someone. I mean, being here with Molly, our cat, that's always fun, but, you know, just a little tea and conversation can go a long way to warm you up. Yeah. Well, I know it was an accident that brought you in here, but are you interested in looking at any books? Yeah. Well, we are a used bookstore, sort of. We also tend to operate a little bit like a library for some folks. People are welcome, of course, to buy them outright, but we also have just giant ledgers of folks around town who like to come in and borrow the books for a few days, bring them back. And a lot of times they bring them back with new books for our shelves as well. So we end up with a lot of stuff. As you can see, we're not necessarily the most organized of libraries. Everything's a little bit jumbled in with everything else, but we make it work. And as we are the only bookstore in town, folks do tend to like us, so yeah. Well, it looks like you'll be stuck here for a while. Is there anything you're interested in particular? I could maybe give you some recommendations. Crime type stories. I would have to say that's one of my favorite genres. I was reading Little Women just now for the 100th time, but I do really enjoy a good thriller, especially in the fall when it gets a little spooky outside. So I certainly have plenty of recommendations I could show you. Why don't you just wait here and enjoy your tea for a moment, and I'll pick a few off the shelves and we can look through them and see if any of them speak to you. Perfect, okay. So I pulled about 5 of my favorite creepy, psychologically, deep thriller books that I've read in the last couple of years. I think any of them would serve you well, but I would love to just talk a little bit more about them with you, and we can read the little inside cover summaries and see what you think, okay? So, this first book is called A Flicker in the Dark. And I actually originally borrowed this from a friend of mine because I was so excited to read it before we had it in the shop. And this story will definitely keep you guessing until the last page. It's one of those where a crime happened a long time ago, and now it's kind of coming back to haunt people, and maybe things, aren't exactly as they seem now based on what happened in the past. So it will make your head spin a little bit. It says, when Chloe Davis was 12, 6 teenage girls went missing in her small Louisiana town. By the end of the summer, her own father had confessed to the crimes and was put away for life, leaving Chloe and the rest of her family to grapple with the truth and try to move forward while dealing with the aftermath. Now, 20 years later, Chloe is a psychologist in Baton Rouge and getting ready for her wedding. While she finally has a fragile grasp on the happiness she's worked so hard to achieve, she sometimes feels as out of control of her own life as the troubled teens who are her patients. So when a local teenage girl goes missing, and then another, that terrifying summer comes crashing back. Is she paranoid, seeing parallels from her past that aren't actually there? Or, for the second time in her life, is Chloe about to unmask a killer? From debut author Stacey Willingham comes a masterfully done lyrical thriller, certain to be the launch of an amazing career. A Flicker in the Dark is eerily compelling to the very last page. I will say this was certainly one of my favorites. I highly recommend it. Are you interested in this one? We can also put it in a maybe pile if you're not totally sure yet. Maybe? Okay, perfect. The next book that I pulled for you was a gift. And it's going to be wonderful if you really enjoy authors that can paint the portrait of a town and a landscape, particularly one that you may not be familiar with. And for this book in particular, that is this is set in a small town in rural Scotland, and I've always personally found that part of the world stunningly beautiful and fascinating, and the people that live there just incredibly interesting. So I loved this book. I actually liked it more than I expected to. This one is called The Searcher by Tana French. A spellbinding, propulsive new novel from the best-selling mystery writer who is in a class by herself. And I just realized that I misspoke, and it's actually set in Ireland. Just as beautiful, just as interesting. Cal Hooper thought a fixer-upper in a remote Irish village would be the perfect escape. After 25 years in the Chicago police force and a bruising divorce, he just wants to build a new life in a pretty spot with a good pub where nothing much happens. But then a local kid comes looking for his help. Trey Reddy's brother has gone missing, and no one, least of all the police, seems to care. Cal wants nothing to do with any kind of investigation, but somehow he can't make himself walk away. Against his will, he discovers that even in the most idyllic small town, secrets lie hidden, people aren't always what they seem, and trouble can come calling at his door. One of the greatest crime novelists writing today weaves a masterful, atmospheric tale of suspense asking how we decide what's right and what's wrong in a world where neither is simple, and what we stake on that decision. This book was incredibly illustrative, if you know what I mean. It very much portrayed the life of someone that I normally wouldn't understand in a deep way. And it really does a beautiful job of showing you who these people are as individuals, as well as building some incredibly compelling relationships between them. So, what do you think? This one's a yes. I think that's a great choice. Honestly, out of the first two, I would say this one's the better one. Next up, we have a very classic whodunit. With Lucy Foley's The Guest List. And this one has been very popular, as you can see. It even has Reese Witherspoon's stamp of approval. So in this book, it's one of those that will cast your suspicions in lots of different directions and try to trick you. It's a really good one. Very exciting, page turner, and very entertaining more than anything. It says, "You'd kill to be on the guest list." And inside it says, "It's the wedding of the year, but someone won't survive it." On a remote island off the coast of Ireland, back in Ireland, guests gathered to celebrate the wedding of Jules Keegan and Will Slater. Will is a rising television star, handsome and charming. Jules is a smart, ambitious magazine publisher. Though the sea is a little choppy and the cell service spotty, their wedding is everything you'd expect of a young power couple. Designer dress, 4-tiered cake, boutique whiskey, vintage champagne. Every detail has been curated to perfection. All that's left to orchestrate is the happiness. But perfection is for plans, and people are all too human. It's not long after the cake is cut and the champagne popped, their resentments and petty jealousies come out. Worse yet, the latest barometer reading shows the weather has shifted from fair to changeable, and dark clouds are looming overhead. Everyone on the island has a secret. Everyone has a motive. And someone won't leave this wedding alive. Like I said before, this one's very entertaining. I would recommend it if you just want to spend a day just wrapped up in a book. Honestly, this one doesn't require much thought, so it can be very soothing. What do you think? The maybe pile? Okay, perfect. I grabbed one last best thriller for us to look at, and honestly, if you don't pick this one, I'll be very disappointed and I may have to question your taste. So, no pressure. This one is one of the best thrillers I've read in years. It's called The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelis, I believe. It's amazing. I won't even describe it. I just want to jump into reading you the description because there are no words for how good this one is. In fact, David Baldacci says, "The pages will burn with the friction from your hands turning them." That's a fact. Alicia Berenson's life is seemingly perfect. A famous painter married to an in-demand fashion photographer, she lives in a grand house overlooking a park in one of London's most desirable areas. One evening, her husband Gabriel returns home late from work, and Alicia shoots him 5 times in the face and then never speaks another word. Alicia's refusal to talk or give any kind of explanation turns a domestic tragedy into something far grander. A mystery that captures the public imagination and casts Alicia into notoriety. The price of her art skyrockets, and she, the silent patient, is hidden away from the tabloids and spotlight at the Grove, a secure psychiatric unit in North London. Criminal psychotherapist Theo Faber is captivated by Alicia's story and jumps at the opportunity to work with her. His determination to get her to talk and unravel the mystery of why she shot her husband takes him down a path more unexpected, more terrifying than he ever imagined. A search for the truth that threatens to consume him. Shocking, thought-provoking, and deeply twisted, The Silent Patient is a spellbinding psychological thriller about violence, obsession, and the dark side of passion. What do you think? Thank God. Honestly, I was going to have to insist that you take it, even if you didn't want to pick it. So I'm gonna put that in our pile. That's all of the thrillers that I grabbed for you. Is there anything else that you wanted to look at before we check you out? My favorite? I have many. Let's think. Perhaps I'll steer away from thrillers since we picked a few of those already. I think my current favorite book, let me see if I have it here. I found it. This book is called 3 Women, and it's actually non-fiction. It almost reads like fiction, but after I finished this book, I had to lay on the floor for a while. So the author of this book, Lisa Taddeo, I believe is how you say it, she was always fascinated by femininity and the effect that the patriarchy and individual men have on the lives of women and the lives of the women themselves and their sexuality, all those types of things. So she essentially, I don't want to say tailed because that sounds creepy, but she lived alongside 3 different women for several years and learned their stories and wrote about their heartbreaks, their tragedies, their joy, and compiled into this book, and it's an incredible read. I believe everyone should read this book, but I would love to just read the back to you. Okay. Lena, a young mother in suburban Indiana whose marriage has lost its passion, reconnects with an old flame through social media and embarks on an affair that quickly becomes all-consuming. Maggie, a 17-year-old high school student in North Dakota, allegedly engages in a relationship with her married English teacher. The ensuing criminal trial turns their quiet community upside down. Sloan, a successful restaurant owner in an exclusive enclave, is happily married to a man who likes to watch her have sex with other men and women. Hailed as a dazzling achievement and a riveting page-turner that explores desire, heartbreak, and infatuation in all its messy, complicated nuance, Lisa Taddeo's 3 Women has captivated readers, booksellers, and critics, and topped bestseller lists worldwide. Based on 8 years of immersive research, it is an astounding work of literary reportage that introduces us to 3 unforgettable women and 1 remarkable writer whose experiences remind us that we are not alone. So, I know this one's a little off track for us, but what do you think? Good. Okay. I think that's a great decision. You will certainly not regret reading this. So we picked your books. Let me just grab your name and then we'll get you on your way. Okay, just one moment while I grab my ledger, okay? I know most places would certainly have a computer, but the owner likes to keep it a little old school, so we just have this. Could you spell your name for me? Perfect. And what's your address and your phone number? I know exactly where that is. I wondered when that house would go. And then let me just take down the names of these books. You are all set. You could bring these back to me, we'll say by the end of November, and I'll just make a note of it, and you're certainly welcome to renew them then if you would like. And it sounds like the rain has started to slow down. You might be safe outdoors now, but you're certainly welcome to stay here with me and Molly and enjoy your tea and check out your new books. Yeah, we have some very comfy armchairs towards the back, and I'll make sure the fire is still roaring for you. Yeah, okay. We'll I would love to hear your thoughts on all these books. But just come back anytime, and I'm always happy to give you more recommendations. Perfect. Okay, let's go see about